Hi everyone, Sami here, and welcome to our second lab. In this one, we will be troubleshooting eBGP peering sessions. In this one, we will be working with the same topology as previous lab. You will also find the initial configuration in the description. You will just have to copy paste it. The task says that eBGP is already configured between all adjacent routers, but the sessions are remaining down. We will have to find the cause of the problem and fix it. Now please pause the video and try to do the task yourself before watching the solution. So here we are at the routers. I just finished copying the initial configuration. The task said that BGP is already configured between the routers, but the sessions are not coming up. So let's do a show IP BGP summary on all routers to see what sessions are already configured. The first thing to check is the local autonomous system number if it is correct. Here for router 1 it is correct. And then the neighbors. Here we can see this is supposed to be router 2. The IP address is incorrect. This should be 2 instead of 3. Now let's jump into router 2. The local autonomous system number is incorrect. It should be 65002. The neighbor IP address for router 1 is correct, and for router 3 as well. Let's go into router 3. Local AS is correct, and the peer IP addresses and the autonomous systems are as well. Let's go into router 4. Here the local AS is correct, and the IP address and local AS for router 3 are correct as well. Let's start by fixing router 2 and 1 since the solution is obvious. So here I will need to first remove the wrong IP address for router 2. I will do a show run section BGP. I will remove this line. I will copy paste it. Then I will paste it a second time, but I will modify this 3 with a 2. This should do it for router 1. Let's jump into router 2. Here it is a little bit more complicated since we have to change the local autonomous system number, and we can't do that without losing the configuration. So what I will do first is copy the configuration into a notepad. Here I will modify the AS to 65002. Now I will remove the BGP process here. If I do a show run section BGP, I won't see any configuration. So now let's paste it. Now this should do it. Let's see if there are any sessions coming up. Here it is, we can see router 3 coming up, but not router 1. Let's do it another time. Okay, here now we have both router 1 and router 3. Now let's jump into router 3 and figure out what is the problem here. We can do a show run section BGP to see how the session is configured. We can do this now because the configuration has very few lines. But as we progress and the configuration getting longer, doing a show run section BGP won't be as efficient. So here we can see that router 3 is configured with connection mode passive. By the way, I forgot to mention it in the lesson, but in TCP, the passive side is called the server, and the one initiating the conversation is called the client. So here, router 3 is a server. We can get the same information without using show run. It is show IP BGP neighbor, and we specify the IP address of the neighbor. It should be at the end. So here it is. TCP session must be opened passively. This means that this router for this session must be the server, and the other one must initiate the TCP session. Now let's jump into router 4 and see how it is configured. We will do the same command, show IP BGP neighbor. I will copy paste the IP address of router 3. And here at the end, we can see that router 4 is also a server. Now to fix this, we can give the client capability to either routers. Let's do it for router 4. So it is neighbor, we specify the IP address of router 3. Then we do transport client, connection mode. Now we either set it to active, or we can also just negate the passive one. So if I do this, I will remove the passive requirement, and this should bring the BGP session up. So if I do show IP BGP neighbor at the end, the passive requirement is gone. Now if I do show IP BGP summary, the session is up. Now that we brought all the sessions up, our task is done. I hope you have found this lab useful, and see you on next one.